Hi, and welcome to this follow-up video to my Asus T100 tablet PC product review video. If you watched that video, you'll know that I quite like that tablet, but it was missing my normally required stylus. I'm doing this follow-up video to expand on some of the points that I made in that last one, and to clarify and correct some of the mistakes that I made. In the last video, I accidentally stated verbally that the processor was a dual-core, which I did correct with a little pop-up on the screen that said quad-core, but I just wanted to clarify and explain that it is definitely a quad-core processor. I also stated that the Dell Venue 8 comes with a stylus. I've recently looked at the Dell product page and it turns out this isn't actually the case, it's an optional extra. This makes the Dell actually a lot less comparable in price than I thought it was to the T100. They have the same specs, but the Dell doesn't come with a keyboard. It's quite an expensive optional extra as well, and the pen not coming with it obviously puts the price up a bit more and makes it less comparable in quality and price and whatnot. The Dell is actually slightly cheaper at £249, but I suspect the stylus will be no less than about £60, which still puts it up at about the same price as the Asus. But again, when you consider the fact that you have to spend £170 odd on a keyboard, you know, that doesn't really bode well for it. As I also said in the last video, the Dell doesn't actually benchmark quite as well, even though they have identical specifications. On the Dell page, it also states that currently the stylus support is unavailable. Now, I don't know if this means that the stylus itself is unavailable and it's just a stock issue, or if the tablet itself currently doesn't support the pen. Either way, it's not ideal. So I thought I'd just clarify that for you. In the last video, I told you I was having trouble with the microSD slot not being hot swappable, requiring a full reboot to recognise a newly inserted card, even one that I just ejected. Shortly after recording that video, I started experiencing a problem where it wouldn't always recognise the card even after a reboot. I looked up the problem, and according to a specific Asus forum topic, the problems were caused seemingly by either a bad SD card, which I was pretty sure mine weren't, a formatting issue, which again I didn't think would be the case as these were brand new and they worked in other computers, an out-of-date BIOS, which mine wasn't, or using cards that were too high spec for the card reader, and mine definitely aren't that. Their solution, if none of these worked, was to return the tablet for an exchange, as the majority of T100s don't seem to be affected. I found one other thread that suggested it was a Windows-specific problem. I then noticed that the tablet had some little Windows updates that had sneakily appeared. Now, I must say that I'd also started experiencing problems with the tablet not playing videos back properly. I couldn't pin this down to whether it was an SD card problem or a tablet problem or what, but it was causing me quite a lot of trouble. Most of my videos had started stalling after a few seconds. So when I looked at the Windows updates, I checked the update information, and the first update that I checked said that it should fix certain problems with videos playing back in Windows Media Player, where they would start playing and then stop and stutter after a few seconds, which is exactly the problem I was having. It did say that this was a Windows Media Player specific problem, but it seemed too much of a coincidence, so I thought I'd do it anyway. It also stated that it fixed some SD card and USB device issues that had been plaguing various users. Again, sort of in a way that suggested it was similar to the problem I was having. So I applied the updates and it seems to have fixed the problem that I've been having with the video playback and the SD card. So I'm really happy, because I really wasn't looking forward to potentially having to return my tablet for another one, which may have also, of course, had the same problems. So I'm glad it seemed to have been a Windows issue and that they've updated it and everything seems fine now. So I thought you might like to see that the microSD slot now is hot swappable again. So let's have a look at that. So if you can see here, we've got here a little microSD card, 15.2 gig free out of the 29 and a bit of the 32 gig. So if we go down here and we right click and we say eject, safe to remove hardware, and it's ejected. So if I just push this out here, and you can see that's where the slot is, just there. Press it in again, and it loads. So huzzah! That is now fixed, and it's wonderful. In the last video, I also mentioned that I was quite looking forward to trying Civ 5 with its new Windows 8 touch-enabled mode. I was waiting for the SD card to arrive, and then when I did the last video, I hadn't quite had a chance to install it. Well, I'm happy to say that now I have installed it, and I've had a little go on it, and I'm a bit confused by it, to be honest. It's one of those things where you've got sort of 6 separate little things you can do that are touch specific, and it's a little bit hard remembering which things do what. It's just a case of practice. So I thought I'd show you a little video of me playing that on the touchscreen at some point. When I played Civ 5 briefly last night, I'm quite pleased to say that while the tablet got rather warm, as you would expect with it playing games, it didn't drain the battery as much as I was expecting, so I was quite happy about that. I did, however, notice that when I took my eyes off the tablet for a couple of minutes and it went into sleep mode, that Civ 5 crashed horribly when I came back from sleep. It's useful to note that it might be worth saving if you even slightly suspect that you're going to get distracted from the game. Alternatively, you could try turning the sleep timeout up, but obviously that will also impact on battery life. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it provided a valuable addition to my last video on the T100. I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.